Was over A Flash of Genius. It tells the story of Robert Kearns, who was the inventor of the intermittent windshield wiper. That's the windshield wiper that has multiple settings and pauses in between swipes. So, like, you know. He was a really interesting guy. He was really paranoid that someone would steal his invention, and he had like 6 kids. He invented the windshield wiper in his basement. And he used like an aquarium, which I thought was kind of interesting. He thought he had a really good idea, so he took it to a law company and had it patented. Then they took the idea to Ford. And when he was at Ford, he was really paranoid about it. Like, he wouldn't show them the device that was used to he wouldn't let them inspect it and take it apart because he was afraid that they would steal his idea, which is kind of ironic because they eventually did. They told him, we as a company cannot use your windshield wipers unless we get them tested in a testing facility. So he gave them the right to kind of test them and make sure that they worked under under like all conditions, like not even the optimal ones. A few months later, Ford tells his attorney, yeah, we don't really want to work with you guys anymore. We found a better windshield wiper. So then the movie kind of fast forwards a few more months, and Robert is standing in the rain, and he sees his windshield wipers on a car. So he follows the car, and he finds out that his windshield wipers were in the newest Ford model. And that was when he decided to sue them. He took one of the windshield wipers, stole it from some guy's house actually, and took it apart and discovered that all of the components of it were identical copies to his. At that point in time, he had a mental breakdown, and he went to D.C. on a bus. The movie didn't explain why, but in my research I found out that he actually thought Nixon requested him to go to Australia and build the first electric car. I thought that was kind of strange because he would be riding a bus to Australia. Continuing on, he decided he goes to a psychiatric facility for a few months, and then he comes out and he's pretty much fine. He decides to take Ford to court, and the process was like a really difficult one. Like, Ford kept trying to wait until his patents expired, so he was until his day of court. It waited like 10 years before, like, in the time that he filed it and the time he actually went to court. I'm not sure how long court proceedings take. That seems like a really long time to me. So he goes to court, and his court case is really interesting. He didn't have an attorney. He represented himself. He spent a lot of time in a law library researching patent laws. And he made a really convincing argument in his, a really convincing closing argument. Like, he was saying, yeah, you guys are saying that I didn't invent the windshield wiper. Like, I didn't invent the components of it. But do authors invent words? No. The way that they put them together creates their novel. And the way that I put my windshield wiper together was the way it was created. So I thought that was really interesting. And in my research, I found out that his speech was actually true, and that it was kind of the basis for new laws regarding patents. His trials kind of broke apart his marriage with his wife because he became so obsessed with winning. But ironically, they kind of brought his family closer, like him and his children. All of his children now work in a law firm that he created with them, which I thought was kind of interesting. Something that I think, like, the film was pretty accurate. The few discrepancies that I can find was the amount of money he was awarded. In the film, he was awarded $10.1 million. In real life, he's awarded 10.2, really slight difference. But in the film, they kept presenting Robert as someone who wasn't interested in money, who only wanted the recognition from Ford. He was willing to accept Ford's $1 million settlement as long as they posted in the paper that he invented the windshield wipers. But in my research, I found out that he actually sued, he started suing, all of automotive companies. He sued, Ford, Chrysler, GMC, Ferrari, all the foreign ones, too. And then he started going after royalties, which I think is someone who's seeking more money than recognition. I completely understand that he created it and he was the sole inventor of it. But the fact that he got $25 million from Chrysler and 10 from Ford, and he was seeking millions and millions from all these car companies, and I thought that kind of showed that he was more interested in money than in the recognition. Something that I thought was really interesting in the filming of the movie was the weather. I noticed that every time there was a really climactic event. So when he discovered his windshield wipers were stolen, when he was fighting with his wife and his son, when he actually won the trials, it was raining or snowing. And I thought it was kind of interesting because he invented the windshield wipers, you know. Another thing that I noticed was the use of light. I never would have noticed light, except Mr. Hansky keeps bringing up how producers use light. In all of the lighting with his family, it's really warm and kind of inviting, but the rest of the movie is shot in like really cold, rainy light, I guess. Really dim, cold light. I thought that was kind of interesting. Personally, I liked the movie. I'd probably watch it again, but I mean, it's about as interesting as a movie about windshield wipers can get. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be super awesome or exciting, but it was actually a really great movie. And, I don't know, you should watch it if you haven't. I liked it.